Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power is back for a second season on Prime Video. So today, let's see if the new season is worth your time. Hey everybody, my name is Justin here. I try to watch everything that hits theaters and on streaming services. If you guys are like me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and click that notification for more up and coming content. Cast out by Galadriel without an army or ally, the rising Dark Lord must now rely on his own cunning to rebuild his strength and oversee the creation of the Rings of Power, which will allow him to bind all people of Middle-earth to a sinister will. The Rings of Power Season 2 is everything that I wanted the first season to be. I really like that first season, but this second season just is able to take the characters, the story, and just completely build on it to create an epic, large scope, grand series that ties in many ways to the Lord of the Rings. I've seen all 8 episodes, and there will be no spoilers for the later half of this season because the first few episodes have already aired. But this takes away all of that mystery about Sauron from the first season and the Stranger, and just able to give us more of the implications and the effects of the rings, where you have now the rings in full power and many people wanting to obtain them or create more of them. You see how they play this huge role within this series and how people become obsessed with it and start to be controlled by it all. You still have many storylines going on within here, but it's really able to hone in on the tone and the storylines within here to deliver a really epic season. We saw at the end of season 1 with the reveal of Sauron and who he was, and now leading into the second season, he changes appearance once again. He is the Lord of Gifts, and he is able to manipulate people within the series. And he's played by Charlie Vickers in here, and throughout the whole series, he is quite sinister. He's able to manipulate people. He's able to get the rings made. He's able to fulfill his plans of obtaining these rings. And Charlie Vickers delivers such a sinister performance. I feel this dread and sense of urgency whenever Charlie Vickers is on screen. And he is able to manipulate Lord Celebrimbor, and Sauron is able to craft him into a certain way and get what he wants. And we see how the rings are able to just fully affect people, similar to how like the rings affected Gollum and able to just kind of take over one person. We see that within here, and I wanted that within that first season. And I know that we were going to get that in the second season, delivering more on the rings, but they play such a huge part in here. When you go back and think about the Lord of the Rings in the beginning, when they talked about the rings and their purpose, and going back to it all now, we see how important they were and how many people wanted them and their power, and how many people were going to create wars and kill people just to get these rings. I loved how they were delivered. I loved how they played this important role within the series, and just that sense of urgency whenever they were created. You still have many storylines in here from season 1 with the Stranger going on a journey to understand who he is. There are some satisfying moments when it comes to him, but I really like the character now that he is able to talk more compared to that first season. We get to know him more personally, and he's a really likable character. You still have Nori and Poppy, who's able to bring more of a playful tone to the series whenever they are on screen compared to more of the darker moments with Sauron and all of the rings. But I like their journey and what they represent within the series. Elrond, once again, is great. He's now dealing with this dilemma of the rings and his own personal beliefs, and it adds much more depth to that character. And there's a lot of epic moments with the dwarves and their tie-in with the rings as well. There's a lot of storylines that feel like they are solid throughout. But then there are some storylines that I didn't feel like they had enough time to be fleshed out, or I just really didn't care much about it. If it wasn't a storyline surrounding Sauron or the Stranger, Nori and Poppy, or Elrond, I really didn't have that much interest in it. But I still liked how some of these storylines weaved in with each other throughout. The series still looks really good. It's on this grand scope. you have a lot of stunning visuals throughout. If it's the mountain with the dwarves, or if it's some battles, or with the orcs, there's a lot of bloody, intense moments throughout, and the visuals are epic. They're on par with a lot of movies. You could tell the dedication and the budget going into this series and how it was crafted. You're able to build intense moments along the way. As we develop more of the rings, you have more epic battles and people fighting for all of that, and seeing how it controls people, and then that leads to these harsh decisions along the way. And then we have those really intense scenes, and we have these characters that are starting to transition a little more into the characters you know from Lord of the Rings. So I really like how they're able to handle the characters, and then the scope of it all. It feels very grand, and the visuals are stunning. But the series is able to plunge more into these vulnerable characters and how the rings are taking control of them, looking at their personal beliefs. You have a lot of rising darkness throughout with the orcs and Sauron, and how they are able to control things, leading more into the beginning of the Lord of the Rings movies, and just building the darkness throughout all of the series. It was really intense. But with elves and dwarves, orcs and men, wizards and harfoots, friendships are tested, they are strained, forces of good are struggling throughout this series. If you like that first season of Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, and some of that mystery throughout, it's more stripped away in the second season. There's some mystery for some of the characters, mostly the stranger. Have a more direct look at the consequences of the rings and building them, and all of the characters throughout. I really liked it, and I still have not seen the original Lord of the Rings movies. I know, they're amazing, I guess. A lot of people talk highly of them. I will watch them very soon, leading into the new animated film. But I do know enough of the movies to see some similarities from the show into the movies, like some of the characters and character decisions and some of the locations. I've seen enough of the Lord of the Rings through media to understand a lot what happens within here. So if you like Lord of the Rings and that first season, I highly recommend checking out this second season. So before I give you my score for Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power on Prime Video, make sure to check out my channel. Here I do movie reviews, trailer actions, ranking videos, tier lists, all that fun movie related content that you see on YouTube. I do it all here, so hit that subscribe button to get it all in one spot. I'm gonna go ahead and give Lord of the Rings of Power Season 2 an A-. Thank you guys for checking my review for the new Rings of Power season on Prime Video. Have you guys seen it by chance? What do you think about it? Let me know in the comment section down below, and stay tuned for more up and coming content like this. My name is Just Watches Movies, and you guys stay classy, YouTube.